So this is everything you want to know about Royal Commissions, but we're afraid to ask, okay? Why am I interested in Royal Commissions? Some people collect stamps, some people collect dinky toys. I collect Royal Commissions. Why did I collect Royal Commissions? Because when I was a student, University of Queensland, I got selected to go and work on a Royal Commission in Canberra. And as a boy from Ipswich, I thought it was really odd going to Canberra, being flown down first class as a 9-year-old was great fun. And being met by a chauffeur-driven car, this is back in 1974 by the way, and working on a Royal Commission into the public service in a place full of public servants seemed to me a really odd thing. That Canberra I find a very odd place. So I'm going to give you a very quick history of Royal Commissions and come to the big question at the end. Can we, should we, or might we have a Royal Commission on the shambles that we've had in the last couple of years? So what are they? Royal Commissions are temporary bodies. They are appointed by executive government, right? Parliament can't appoint a Royal Commission. No one can appoint a Royal Commission except executive government. That is Cabinet, Premier, Prime Minister, Ministers, right? I'll go into a bit more detail. Their members are from outside government. They're not members of government. They're not public servants. They often can be former judges. Existing judges no longer want to do that sort of job. They're people from outside of government. That's what gives them their sense of independence. They have public processes. That should be TOT, terms of reference. Everything is public. They have public hearings. Their reports are made public. The evidence on which the reports are made public. Right? So it's a very public process. The complete antithesis of what government is, which is secret. Now, I've worked in government for a lot, so I know. They're advisory. Royal Commissions only make recommendations. They don't make decisions. They don't adjudicate. Right? They're advisory bodies. They're advisory bodies to executive government. They're not judicial. I'll go on to in a second. They report back to executive government with recommendations and 6 volumes of reports or what it may be, and it's up to executive government to decide what to do with them. Now, Royal Commissions have some really special features. They're really appointed by the Governor or Governor-General, who issues what is called letters patent, right? Says, this is the terms of reference by Her Majesty, blah, 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 okay? That's what makes it a Royal Commission, okay? But a Governor only does that on advice of his or her ministers. That's how our system works, right? Royal Commissions in Australia, unlike Royal Commissions in England, believe it or not, from the word go, had legislation. They are based on, so the Governor can appoint a Royal Commissioner, but Parliament had to pass a law to give the Royal Commission power. And Royal Commissions have lots of power. They can make you attend and give evidence. If you don't do it, they'll put you in jail. They can make you give evidence even if it incriminates you. They don't work on courts of law, evidence. They're inquisitorial bodies, okay? They can procure documents from your house or your computers. They can, in some cases, phone tap you, right? So Royal Commissions are really, really powerful bodies. Britain didn't have anything like it really until quite recently. So Australia has always had these sort of bodies. Canada the same, New Zealand the same, right? They are called sorts of things. They are called Royal Commissions. They are called Commissions of Inquiry, and so on. Every state in Australia has a Royal Commission legislation, and the Commonwealth has Royal Commission legislation. As a matter of fact, the Commonwealth Royal Commission Act was passed in 902, so just after we started Federation. It's the 12th Act of Parliament passed by the Commonwealth Parliament. Okay? And they appointed a Royal Commission, and I'll tell you about that in a minute, and then they realised it had no power. So, oh boy, we better pass legislation. So they copied the New South Wales legislation. Alfred Deakin was the Attorney General. You can read his debate. It's 8 paragraphs long. That's the Royal Commission Act. And that's how we got the Royal Commission Act 902. Okay? And that's still in existence. It's got a lot bigger since then. Okay? It reports to the governor, but it really reports to the executive government. And you'll see over and over again they're being called judicial inquiries. Daniel Andrews, when he pointed that inquiry into the hotel quarantine issue down in Melbourne, he called it a judicial inquiry. There is no such thing as a judicial inquiry in our system of government. The judiciary does not run inquiries. We have separation of powers. What people get confused about, sometimes they appoint a judge or a retired judge to be a royal commissioner. They are not judicial. They don't make decisions. Okay? So people get that confused. And people like me write letters all the time and say you're wrong, and they ignore me. Anyway. Types of royal commissions. There are 2 types of royal commissions. Policy royal commissions, which investigate or give advice on all sorts of things. We've had lots of them in Australia. We had lots of them before Federation. The states, colonies had royal commissions, and the Commonwealth started appointing royal commissions. Royal commissions to give advice on pension schemes, on child endowment, on on postal services, on all sorts of things, on the film industry, on the wireless industry, shipbuilding, sugar industry, pearl diving, railway gauges, all sorts of royal commissions into things. Okay, they're policy ones. And then we have inquisitorial royal commissions. These are ones probing corruption, or why something happened, why a bridge collapsed, or why a bushfire got out of control. These are inquisitorial, and almost all royal commissions now are of this type. We don't appoint many royal commissions into policy issues. The last one federally was the 1987 inquiry into grain handling. There was a royal commission into grain handling chaired by an economist, okay? Not a judge, right? So that's important. Why do they get appointed? Well, the reason why royal commissions really got established is because initially there wasn't much of a public bureaucracy around. So we wanted to get expert advice. We appoint a royal commission, we get experts in, and to give expert advice, to look at new policy areas, to review institutions, and so on. A very famous one was the Royal Commission 908 into the Australian Postal Services and Telecommunications. Why? Because the Commonwealth Government had got control of all the state postal services, because we've got one postal service, telecommunications. And it was very badly run. So they had a Royal Commission, they visited all around Australia, and they got to one of the witnesses, Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone. They got him to come out from America, where he was at the time, to give evidence to this Royal Commission in Australia about where will telecommunications go. And he was asked, is this just as far as we go? He said, no, there will come a time where people will be able to talk and see each other by telephone. Right? 908. And he also said, if you're going to run a postal service, for goodness sake, pay them a decent salary and get the best. That was his second bit of advice. So really important. Why do governments appoint them into corruption? Because we don't trust government, right? This is not new. So we need an outside body to investigate an allegation of corruption where we can all see what it's doing. We can see all the hearings and processes. That's why we do it. The public service today is politicised. Now, we had the overseas doctor scandal in Queensland. We had 2 royal commissions into the issue. The first one got closed down because it was biased. The second one did the work. Okay? Royal commissions are prestigious. Okay? A politician is not prestigious. It's like a used car salesman. Apology to the used car salesman. But also, everything in politics, everything in government is political. So even if you appoint a royal commission to invest some sort of corruption, government are doing it for political reasons, to show action and activity, and we care, and we're going to do something about it. You know, Mr. Beattie, when he appointed, we're going to tackle the overseas doctor scandal, we're going to appoint a Royal Commission. Or Morrison, when we have a Royal Commission into the bushfires, you know, we're going to tackle this issue, we're going to show that we're concerned. And sometimes governments appoint Royal Commissions just on the eve of an election, right? Because you know they're just going to report after the election, and who knows what will be happening then, all right? So just think about it. So, all sorts of problems about Royal Commissions. Jurisdiction. A Commonwealth Royal Commission can't investigate state issues, right? So it can only do that if the state governments agree to have a joint Royal Commission. So there's quite a lot of joint Royal Commissions occur, but the states have got to agree to it. Otherwise, and a state Royal Commission can't investigate the Commonwealth, right? The jurisdiction. They do have a lot of powers, I've said before. Royal Commissions have lots of powers, right? So I've never been called as a witness, but I wouldn't like to be. They can be unpredictable. Now, you know, the famous one I like is unpredictable is the Fraser government, as you all remember, appointed the Royal Commission into the Federated Ship Painters and Dockers Union, you know, right? To get the Labor Party. There was corruption, but it was to get the Labor Party. But it got the Liberal Party because it highlighted the bottom of the harbour tax schemes, which a lot of Liberal Party type, Western Australia type people were involved with. I was working in government at the time, and boy, it completely boomeranged back on the government, right? So you appoint a Royal Commission, you never know where it's going to go. So beware, be careful. Fitzgerald, appointed by the Bjelke-Petersen government, but destroyed the Bjelke-Petersen government, all right? Okay, so those sort of stories. Royal Commissions take time. The average length is about 2 years. Some take 4 years. The one into institutional child sexual abuse, 4 years. Costigan Royal Commission, 4 years. The recent one on aged care, about 22 months. So don't expect instant answers, right? They're not those sort of bodies. Some of them come up with impractical or very costly proposals because they're Royal Commissioners. They're not necessarily people who fully appreciate all aspects of an issue. So Royal Commissions can get things wrong, okay? Sometimes, I think in recent times, we've been averaging a Commonwealth Royal Commission one every year for the last 8 years, right? Including our most expensive, $350 million for a Royal Commission. Just think about it. And there's another one on the disability, it's going to cost $500 million. Now, I think the Morrison government has been flicking too many issues to Royal Commissions, right? It's deflection. It's a difficult issue. So instead of resolving the issue politically in debate, let's flick it to a Royal Commission. And so the Royal Commission on Aged Care, the Royal Commissioners disagree with each other. So a third of the recommendations, there's no agreement. See what I mean? It can't solve everything. Okay, where do they come from? Obviously this is a British Westminster system inheritance. The first Royal Commission is argued to be the one William the Conqueror set up. You know, William the Conqueror, he conquered England, 1066. A few years later he said, what have I got? So he appointed a Royal Commission, Royal Commissioners to go around all the villages of England and do a check on who owned what, how many cows were there, how many servants there were, how many slaves there were, all this sort of stuff. And this was regarded as the first Royal Commission, and it produced what is called the Domesday Book, which is a record of all the families and all the ownership in England of that time. So it's a Royal Commission appointed by the King to go out on the King's commission to find the truth about an issue. So they fell into disregard. The big growth of Royal Commissions in England occurred in the 19th century, where you had Royal Commissions into the poor law, sewage systems. It was sort of the basis of modern British society in a sense. Our first Royal Commission in Australia, 902. A ship was coming back from the Boer War. Lots of Australians went to the Boer War before we had Australia, don't forget. And on the way back, 17 soldiers died on the ship. So this caused a lot of publicity, and therefore the new federal government appointed this Royal Commission I told you about before. The press at the time said it was a whitewash, right? Okay. Then the second Royal Commission we had was, should we have the capital? We appointed a Royal Commission. Because, should it be Sydney? Should it be Melbourne? Should it be Brisbane? Well, I don't want to go in Brisbane. And so they had a Royal Commission and it recommended Albury or Tumut. So it was ignored. Right? So two messages come across there. We're now up to our 138th Royal Commission federally. There's several hundred state Royal Commissions as well. Okay? So we're up to 138 of our Royal Commissions. Here's some examples. The Menzies government, Mr Menzies from 949 to 966, 5 Royal Commissions. The Holt, Gorton, McMahon governments, the sort of people who followed his footsteps, from 66 to 72, 2 Royal Commissions. Mr Whitlam, Labor government, 3 years, 13 Royal Commissions. Royal Commissions into Human Relationships, Royal Commission to FM radio, Royal Commission to Maritime Industries, and so you name it, we had a Royal Commission, okay? Mr Fraser, 7 years in office, 8 Royal Commissions. The Hawke Keating government, 13 years in office, 12 Royal Commissions. All right? Mr Howard, a bit of sanity returns, 4 Royal Commissions. John wasn't big on Royal Commissions. The Rudd-Gillard government, 1, but the most expensive one, okay? But Abbott, Turnbull and Morrison, I hope we don't have any more ministerial changes, I can't put it on the form, we're really now up to 7, we're really now up to 8. They just appointed the 8th one a few months ago, okay? So, they're definitely in vogue. Here are the recent Royal Commissions we've been having. The red one is the Rudd government one, the rest are all the ones appointed by essentially the Abbott, Turnbull, Morrison governments. And you can see the years behind them, rightio? Some of these are highly political. The Royal Commission Home Insulation Program was to embarrass the previous government, right? I'm not saying it didn't say some important things, but that's what the goal was. The Royal Commission of Trade Union Governments was to get Bill Shorten. Okay? Now, it also pointed some problems. There are some problems with unions, but that's the game. The Royal Commission into Protection and Detention of Children in Northern Territory, that was that Four Corners program, that caused that. That was to get the government off the hook. We're doing something. Okay? Royal Commission Banking, it took Turnbull 12 months to come to that decision. He was pressured and pressured and pressured, finally got one. Right? It only cost $50 million, so don't worry too much, okay? Royal Commission of Aged Care, it was the first thing Morrison announced when he became Prime Minister in August 2018. He announced the Royal Commission, right? Okay? And just remember, back then everyone thought he was going to lose the election. Just think about it. Then Royal Commission into people with disability, just announced a month before the election. A month, okay? And now we've got Royal Commission Natural Disaster Arrangements, bushfires, where he got involved, and now we've got the Royal Commission of Defence and Veteran Suicide, okay? So lots of Royal Commissions on the go. Now we come to this COVID issue. So I'm trying to paint a picture of what Royal Commissions are and where they come from. They are politically driven, is one of the points I'm trying to get across. They can make mistakes. Be careful what you wish for, is my sort of message in a sense. Now, I agree with a lot of the discussion here tonight that should there be some sort of review into the shambles we've had in the last 2 years. And I agree with your civil disobedience. I don't obey any of the rules, by the way. But I have lost my licence 3 times, so that's another story. So do we need a review? And I was talking to someone in Canberra the other day. This is a place with like 98% vaccination or something, and they're still running around locked up or mask on and so on. He said, Scott, there's got to be some sort of review about the way governments have mishandled this issue, as well as the spending and the damage to small business. You know, my family's small business, so I understand what you're saying. And to me, governments have overreacted and overreached this whole thing, right? And that's been driven by many decisions that are not based on medical evidence. Wearing a mask in a car would have to be the stupidest thing you can do. Now I do drive a sports car, by the way, and I did see someone there a week or so ago driving along in an open sports car with a mask on. Now that just beats me for everything. Now, Andrews at the moment he's been ordered by the Information Commissioner in Victoria to release 175 documents of the medical evidence for some of the decisions that have been made. Now he's going to contest that in court, right? Okay. So just remember that. The secrecy about things, the misinformation about when we're told how many people have been tested for it, but we don't know how many people are ill from it. I'm not a medical person. I'm not like the good doctor. I'm a doctor sort of thing. It just seems to me very odd. And then there's civil liberties. Now I'm a conservative, so on, but I'm a little bit affronted by seeing a woman's house invaded and being handcuffed in front of her family because she's texting somewhere to go to a protest meeting. When I went to university, people were protesting about Vietnam. I was never in that camp. And I thought, well, fair enough. If you want to protest about it, you can. I can't get over the civil liberties issue. And I wrote an article recently, and some academic sent me, and I said, police brutality. He said, what police brutality are you talking about? I said, what? You mean a mounted policeman in New South Wales on a horse, rounding up a pregnant woman with a baby in a pram as well because she was resting in a park? What do you call that? What do you call that? So, and the silence from the federal government on this matter, the silence is unbelievable. It is deafening, deafening. Okay, the lack of accountability of the costs. Who's responsible? The federal. Now, by the way, I'm in the believer in the camp. The federal government should have run the show from the beginning, and under quarantine powers of the Constitution, they could have. Yes. Okay, right? And we would have had not different laws for each state and different closures and so on. And this is a reflection of what happened in the pandemic we had. So accountability has been out the door. Next, we have Parliament. Now, you might remember when Joe and the boys were in town, the academia in this place, and I'm a graduate from Griffith University, the academia, how shocking, Parliament's only sitting 65 days a year. Well, it's sitting 30 days a year now. In Canberra, last year, it sat for 2 days and spent $60 billion. I don't regard that as being very much good for Parliament, right? And the National Cabinet is the stupidest idea I think you've ever heard. Then there's the cost in the economy. I walk around the shops and see them closed. Now this, or look at Melbourne. It's like that movie On the Beach, except they could do it all again. And they've got a perfect scene for it, haven't they? There's no one working. And the funny money issue we're into. My economist friends tell me we're in for a big shock. Okay. Federalism. Now, Australia's a federal system, but that doesn't mean we have so many different laws for each state and different border closures. Now, for those of you who don't know, back when we had the pandemic in 1918, 1919, the Commonwealth government tried to broker an arrangement with the states, okay? And guess what? The states lied and didn't share information and all that sort of stuff. And the Director General of Commonwealth Quarantine was a guy his name was John Howard Cumston. He was a doctor, and he convinced Billy Hughes, the Prime Minister, to set up the Commonwealth Department of Health, even though the Commonwealth has got no constitutional powers on health except quarantine. And this is really important, and because the Commonwealth realised that we didn't have data, we had states telling lies to each other about who got sick and who wasn't. Victoria said no one got the pandemic, apparently. People were just dying for some other reason. So federalism, one of the things we've been trying to do in Australia is we've been pretty good at doing a lot of things collectively and making some good decisions. What we've seen now is some real problems. And Steve Austin on ABC repeated my story. Last year, my closest friend, who had leukemia for 10 years, was in Mater Hospital, rang my family, rang my wife and I, and said, Scott, I'm going to go off the treatment. I'm going to die in the next 5 days. And this wasn't in lockdown period, right? And wishing you all the best and blah, blah. And I could not visit Maurice Harvey in Mater Hospital. His wife at one stage and 4 children were refused to go and see him. But his wife was told to come up and get his dirty linen. Finally, his wife could see her husband with 1 child at a time. Now, you tell me the logic of that. Now, you just tell me. And I can't get over, we have this, we're caring society. The people who, the husband couldn't be with his wife when she was having a baby, the people stuck in New South Wales that can't come back, the misery on the coast borderlines, the personal misery is unbelievable. And it seems, we seem to have adopted an attitude, we don't care as long as we're all safe. Oh my goodness, it's terrible. So I think there's lots of problems. That's what I'm trying to get at. Now, coming to a Royal Commission. People say, let's have a Royal Commission. Problem 1, which government is going to have a Royal Commission to investigate itself? Right? It might, that's one thing, right? Secondly, if it's going to have a Royal Commission, it would have to be a Commonwealth initiated one because 80% of the problems have been at the state level, right? But they've had all the grit to do. Now, can you imagine the Commonwealth and states coming to an agreed terms of reference for a Royal Commission to say he did a shitty job? Huh? Right? I just can't see it very hard to do. And it'd be tremendous argy-bargy going on about the terms of reference. To be so watered down to be meaningless. That's 2 problems. So who's going to do it? Who's going to nominate it? It's got to be nominated by executive government, can't be nominated by Parliament, can't be nominated by the people, can't be doing that. It's got to be executive government. Mr Morrison or the states are going to do it. Terms of reference will be hard to develop. Thirdly, what processes would it use? Would it procure all the documents? Would it have public hearings? Would it call before our brilliant chief health officers that we've had around us? Actually, I think the Palaszczuk government's very good at moving Jeanette. She's moved her from the most powerful position to the most powerless position. I think that's very clever as governor. So how would it work? I mean, I can't work out how it could work. Next problem, membership. Now, you've got 6 states, 2 territories and 1 Commonwealth government. So let's say you're having a Commonwealth State Territory Royal Commission. Everyone would want to have someone on that Royal Commission to protect their backs. Right? Okay. Then you'd have the professions fighting. Doctors, which doctors? What society of doctors? Nurses? Should surgeons be on, or so on and so forth? Should doctors for people from university be on? Who would be on the Royal Commission? It would probably be 25 people, 35 people. Just imagine trying to get agreement from that. The governments would have to have reps. They'd have to appoint someone on it to keep an eye on it, make sure it didn't do any damage. What about the disadvantaged people? What about the small business owners who've gone broke, or people who've lost a loved one and couldn't say goodbye, and so on. So to me, it would be very hard to do, right? and then just say it came out and said, Government X did a terrible job. It's a recommendation, it's not a law. Who's going to implement the recommendation that the Chief Health Officer in, I think my favourite one is the South Australian one, don't touch the football, okay? Don't touch the football. The Chief Health Officer in South Australia should be sacked immediately for giving stupid advice, not based on any medical whatever, okay? Nothing. So to me, how would a Royal Commission work? That's my point I'm trying to make. I'm not saying there shouldn't be something. Are there some alternatives? We could appoint an inquiry. I'll be quite happy to chair it up. Okay, the Prasser inquiry's got a nice ring to it. But I wouldn't have any powers. I couldn't. Unless I'm appointed as a Royal Commission, I can't get that information. I can't. The Department of Health won't give me the file. The Royal Commission, give me the file, okay? Or I'll put you in jail, okay? A public service review, well, public service today is politicised. It's jobs for the boys and girls, okay? All right? A think tank. There are some think tanks, but again, no powers. There's left-wing think tanks and right-wing think tanks and so on. University. The university should have been doing a study of this whole process, right? It would have been a fantastic case study. There's a famous book called Implementation written by a guy called Aaron Badalski in America. It's a classic where he tracks down what happens to an employment scheme developed in Washington, DC, and how many people it actually employs in Sacramento, California. It's supposed to employ 64,000 and employs 4 or something like that. Now, the universities, you notice how silent the university people are on, in my field, I'm a political scientist. Where is the criticism of, so a guy down in Melbourne, Monash, wrote an article criticising me. I said, well, hold a second, Jim, where's the criticism of Daniel? Okay, where's the, you've got to give it to both sides, I give it to both sides. Where's the criticism? So universities, and also universities, that would be a bit too practical for them to do. We've got to get an ARC grant, I suppose, to do any research, for the professors of no teaching load. I suppose, yeah, okay, all right. Then there's the Productivity Commission. Great body, Productivity Commission, but it's an economic body, okay? And guess, it gets its terms of reference from the government, the federal government, okay? So it does good work, but it's that sort of body. A state government could set up an inquiry. Maybe if we had an opposition with some guts and they got into power, they could set up an inquiry to investigate what the other mob did. There's going to be an election in South Australia, so maybe someone could investigate the Marshmallow government or something. I'm not sure, but I can't see any state government having one. Can you? No, right. So what I'm saying to you, I'm sorry to say, I can't see in our present political system, and given the perpetrators are the ones in government of the present problems, which I think, my wife I just go at the back and she's talking to the TV again, and yelling at the TV, upset about what they're saying. I've just sort of accepted that we're in this state of complete terrible government. And I can't see any way out for this, except this event tonight should be run at a university. Yes. Right? Right? It should be run at a university. I don't see any universities running anything on anything, okay? Unless it's on transgender studies or something or whatever. So, or the climate change. I'm in the sceptic camp, I'm sorry to admit this. I think there ought to be some review. Yes, Scott Prasser and my people at Centre for Independent Studies, they could do something. We're in the sort of liberal style camp, but it wouldn't have the same credibility, and we wouldn't get access to the powers or the witnesses. And we'll be criticised. Oh, typical right-wing think tank, blah, 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 blah. Okay, right? You can be a left-wing think tank, it's all right, by the way, but a right-wing think tank, no good. So we're in a terrible situation that we've sort of lost faith in our governments to even get at the truth about where we've been. And I'm in the camp that I think we overreacted in the first place. I think it should be managed for Pacific groups, definitely. Sweden, to me, seems to have got it. It seems funny, Sweden, which I used to call the world's largest prison farm, has really shown the way on freedom, you know, and they've really, in Denmark, and so on. Even my friends in Germany said, "We can't believe, Scott, that you people can't travel interstate, you know. This seems really, really strange to people overseas." So, look, on Sunday, a person who used to work for me got married, okay? We were invited to the wedding in Sydney. But, as you know, to go to Sydney, we'd have to then, couldn't drive, we would have to isolate when we came back and so on, so we didn't go. So we saw the thing, and she only had 10 people at the wedding. It's been cancelled 3 times. She ran more. I said, just go ahead and get married, for goodness sake, this may go on forever. So she did, and it was fantastic, but we really sad we couldn't get there, all because of an overreaction, and governments have spiked up the fears and spiked up the concerns and have really given misinformation. We do need some sort of review, but I'm sorry to say, I can't see it happening, okay, or happening properly.